everyone, my name is Leslie Cornwell, Certified Nurse Midwife with Midwifery Business Consultation. The next section I want to talk about with the birth center planning is your business plan. Going into details, how would you create a business plan? So some of the main key subjects are executive summary, which is a snapshot of your business, usually about a paragraph long. Sometimes it's half a page, depending on how detailed you want to get. So it's kind of like when you tell a story, that introduction that gets people, maybe it's private investors, somebody you want to read this, intrigued of why they want to read the next 30, 40 pages of your business plan. So really make it catchy, fun, right to the point of the summary of what your whole business plan is about. Company description, that describes what you want to do. So you can go into details of your services, your mission, your values. What is this birth center going to offer to the community? Market analysis. What research have you done? A bank, an investor is going to expect extensive research on your behalf. What is your competition like? What are your collaborations? Where are your strengths? Where are your barriers? What are you going to do about those challenges when they come up? They want to know, how are you the expert in the field to be able to be successful at this birth center? So brag about your resume, brag about your expertise, tell what you've done in the past that makes you a great candidate to run this birth center. Talk about all these things you looked at and you've thought about in the backdrop. What is zoning going to be like? What is the construction going to be like? How much money you're going to need? Those are all part of that market analysis to show the investors you are the expert and the best person to pick to start this birth center. Organization and management, that has to do with your overall structure. Is it going to be a solo birth center? You better be able to explain really well what are your backup plans if you want a vacation or you're sick or get hurt. Are you going to have multiple midwives? How are you going to train them? What's the timeline you're going to add them? What's your short-term and long-term goals? If you want to have 5 to 7 midwives, it's going to be very difficult to do that from day one because your capital expenses are going to be really high and you have to rationalize all that. You can do it, but you just have to explain how confident you are that your market is going to come to you and you're going to get the volume you're predicting to get. What your services and products look like. So go in details. What is the scope of a certified nurse midwife? What trainings and certifications do you have? Are you going to do additional procedures? Are you going to do just pregnancy care, birth, postpartum, and may or may not do newborn services? Are you going to do a lot of GYN services? Are you going to do circumcisions? Are you going to contract with the hospital for privileges to do births and help with first assist? What services is your birth center going to provide? And explain in details what proportion of your population is going to count for each part. If you're mostly going to do births and 10% is GYN, make sure you note that on your business plan. Marketing and sales, I can't stress enough how important marketing is. You can have the most amazing product, service in the world, but if nobody knows you exist, which is the biggest challenge with startup businesses, you could give amazing care, but it takes time for referrals. It takes time for branding. And how are you going to survive and accelerate that branding success of your birth center? Casey Messmer is an amazing affiliate colleague of mine who's helped me over the years with my businesses of different degrees, my women's health clinics, my business consultation, my birth center. So I really encourage you to look into a marketing company that this is their expertise. Midwives usually don't have a background in marketing. We're really good at taking care of moms and babies. We need to get trained in business. We need to get trained in accounting, marketing, legal protection. These are all things that are not part of our schooling. So part of marketing, go into details. What is your initial budget proposal to do in short term? Before the doors open, what is the branding are you going to do? Are you going to start a website? Are you going to mail out postcards? Are you going to go door to door? Are you going to attend and take dinner to doulas, childbirth educators, chiropractors in the area? What are you going to do to get your name out there? Are you going to go to expos? Are you going to hold open forums at your birth center, meet the midwives, see the construction updates? Facebook and blogs are by far the cheapest. The clientele we're typically trying to get, those 25 to 35-year-olds, they're on the internet all the time. So Google Ads, search engine optimization, Facebook, having an amazing website that Google can find in time will be the best bang for the buck with a midwife's tighter budget for marketing. I do encourage an average of 10% of your expected income to come in each year or each month to put towards marketing. Until you get 5-10 years from now that you have such a massive waiting list and there's no sense of you marketing, you can cut that down with time. But in the beginning, a huge part of your business initial cost of maintenance is the staffing and the marketing of your services. So please, please, please put an emphasis on the details of your marketing strategy and hire an expert in the area. So Mesmer Marketing has been a phenomenal resource for me and my little subset businesses. Funding request. So I've got a bank and done a small business association loan, so I can definitely help people with that. It's a lot of paperwork. Anything with the government is paperwork, but it was a really good process. And so I only had to come up with 30% down versus the entire 100% for the construction, the initial purchasing paperwork for the birth center building, and the supplies and training my staff, which I wouldn't have been able to start my business without that assistance. Sometimes if you look at the direction of a nonprofit, you could do fundraisers, you could do silent auctions, really emphasize the community those next 3 to 5 years, raising money, create a committee, create a group of women that really want this birth center to happen and have them be the ones doing the marketing and the fundraising for your initial cause. That's always an option to get some of the money. Private investors, private funds, there's always multiple ways. If you're considering a bank or a private investor, you need to have a really, really good business plan because they're going to ask you lots of questions. They want to know if they're investing money in you, how successful is this business going to be? Are you a person that when you haven't ran a business before, that's going to be a deficit. So you need to show what training and knowledge you've done to show that, yep, I've never ran a business before. This is what I prepared to understand the difference of what it takes to run a business versus working for somebody else. Financial projections. It's helpful to know, are you going to break even based on your estimations? I mean, nobody knows with a crystal ball, but based on your numbers and looking at the current market, your competition, how many women are out there. If you're deciding to start a birth center in a tiny little community, you better expect that you're going to have a large radius you're going to serve, and how are you going to pull from that large radius? If you're going to be in a big metro city, there's going to be a huge population to pull from there. Now you have to decide you got more competition now. So how are you going to set the edge of your current competition? So those are things to think about. For financial projections, are you hoping to break even in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Like most birth centers, your goal is in about 1.5 years, 2 years, you start finally making money. Just depends on how big you want to make it. It's tricky when you're starting out and don't have any home birth practice or hospital practice to help with the curve of funds, that these women come with you for their first visit 8-10 weeks. You're not going to deliver them for 9 months. And the average insurance reimbursement takes 4 to 6 months depending on the codes and the insurance company. So just know 1 year, 1.5 years, you're going to take care of women and have overheads and utilities and staff that you have to have the money budgeted to support that. So we're expecting to see a good chunk of your initial funding request is not to do the construction for the birth center, but it's to support your business that first 1.5 years, and what do those numbers look like? So the last part of a business plan is your appendix. So a lot of people will put specific permits they need for their birth center, the licenses they hold as far as a midwife to show that they can run this birth center in their state. Some people will attach state regulations just to show part of your planning. Yes, I can do this birth center. I need a medical director, but here is in writing a physician that will become our medical director once we get going. What are things that are unique to running a birth center that would show decreased risk to a bank, someone glancing at this business plan to know you did planning, you're going to be successful, you are passionate. There is a need for this unique service, and it's profitable. You're going to have to make sure you know that the insurance codes, the cash rate is going to fit the volume you want to serve. So we'll talk more in details of what those look like. I also attached for you to download a sample business plan just to use as a framework. Every state's going to be different. Every midwifery regulation is going to be different, and your specific mission and value is going to be different than mine. But now you at least have something to start with and say, okay, this is a common list of supplies that a home birth center, smaller scale practice would need. Oh, I didn't realize this cost that amount, or I needed these medications, or I needed these certifications. So it's just a good reference point. So please download the sample business plan that I've attached for you. Look forward to seeing you on the next section. Thank you.